So the leadership challenge that was really, I think, just going through the motions. Colin Boyce knew he wasn't going to win. Everyone in the National Party knew he wasn't going to win, and he didn't win. He didn't even get to actually get the spill motion up. In other words, it's unclear whether anyone backed opening up the leadership to a vote. So that fell at the first hurdle. Done. That means David Littleproud is locked in as leader, at least for now. The real substance of this meeting is now working out the terms of which they will negotiate any reunion with the Liberal Party. As far as we know, that meeting is not yet broken up, unless it has in the last few minutes. But that's what they've been discussing. One Nationals MP, Darren Chester, put forward a motion with 3 threshold issues that must be met. The key one is the National Party gets to decide who is on the shadow ministry from their team. And in other words, the Liberal leader can't sack those Nationals. And others in the Nationals do want it made clear that when they're in opposition, at the very least, they do have the ability to go their own way as a party to what the shadow cabinet proposes. That's going to be very difficult for the Liberals to stomach. There's this red line issue right now, though, in relation to the 3 Nationals who Susan Lee agreed to let go from her front bench for voting against the shadow cabinet position on the hate laws. Liberals do not want Susan Lee to give an inch on this. They are not to come back. That would weaken her leadership, and Susan Lee is not of a mind to do that. David Littleproud and the Nationals are saying they must be returned for the coalition to come back together. That's the sticking point that is very hard to see how it's resolved. Tonight, they'll meet at 6 o'clock, the 2 leaders, so in just about 2 hours from now. So
this is Susan Lee, David Littleproud will have a meeting to start talks about reunification.
To be a fly on that wall, PK, we know the anger between the two of them. We know that David Littleproud, immediately after the split a couple of weeks ago, made it clear that the Nationals would not be serving under the Susan Lee leadership.
Yeah, that's right. I want to take you to that, David, because the comments that were made by David Littleproud about Susan Lee and her leadership were actually incredibly strong and negative. It was quite unusual.
They were seen as trying to tell the Liberal Party who their leader should be. That went down like a lead balloon within the Liberal Party. There's a lot of anger at David Littleproud amongst the Liberal Party. No mood to reward him and the National Party for this sort of behaviour. He softened that language in the days after, it's worth noting, but that sentiment was clear. So yeah, it could be a very frosty meeting between the two of them. They'll have a couple of others with them for that meeting. Look, I'm told from the Liberal side there's no particular appetite to give any ground at this. This might just end up with a stalemate. A stated, here's my position, but no actual resolution tonight when they meet. And if there is no resolution, tomorrow when Parliament sits, they're going to be sitting officially as separated parties.
And I understand the Nationals will also meet another party room meeting tomorrow to discuss whatever's come out of this meeting with Susan Lee. So it kind of goes on a little. Tomorrow is a key day, of course, because the Reserve Bank will announce whether it will raise interest rates, and yet the coalition's still in disarray. That's a hard one to manage.
You heard Michelle Landry in the clip you just played coming out of the National Party, when she ducked out earlier to tell us that the spill motion had been unsuccessful, saying, we want to be a good opposition and putting pressure on the government. That's exactly what they're not doing right now. Tomorrow, with an expected Reserve Bank interest rate hike, that should be the government under all sorts of pressure, given, what we were told at the election about getting inflation under control. Instead, if the two former coalition partners are sitting separately, you can see the field day the government is going to have at their expense. Doesn't mean the government's, not got a problem on its hands with interest rates. It clearly does. But the opposition's capacity to make anything of it is just non-existent right now.
So that's the thing, isn't it? Just finally, David, there's a kind of rush, it seems, before tomorrow's question time to try and get some kind of reunification. Within
the Nationals, I think there's a very strong view that they need to reunite quickly. I think there's more impetus on the Nats to reunite. They're the ones under the real pressure. Not all of them. There are some who would rather remain separated for a longer period of time within the Nationals, but I get the sense that maybe most of them are pretty keen to reunite. The people like Michael McCormack, Darren Chester and so on know that they're, and even Colin Boyce, who moved that, tried to bring on a leadership challenge today, has warned they face oblivion if they remain separated. On the Liberal side, however, it is a much more mixed view. I don't think there is much of an appetite to reunite anytime soon. Plenty of them know they do have to eventually, but there are some who want to wait a long time. Andrew Bragg's talking about beyond the election, next term. Give us a chance to rebuild in the metropolitan parts of Australia, win back some of those cities, be a party that talks to those voters, and we can only do that separated from the Nationals. So there are, you get the sense that the stronger pressure is on the Nationals to reunite and David Littleproud. Susan Lee, I think, will be going into tonight's meeting not wanting to give an inch and wanting to hold firm, knowing that she's got all sorts of pressure on her leadership, and giving an inch to the Nationals right now would not help her position at all.